So it's stressful both for the adults and for the chicks. And in the case of flamingos, it's no different. They also need to learn how to fly, and if you see, you might see at some stage with these flamingos, their particular technique of flying is to run along the surface of the water and flap their wings. So that's how the chicks sort of practice. They run up and down, flapping their wings, and then getting more and more lift, and eventually being able to take off. And then when they land, they do exactly the same. So there's quite an element of doing and practicing that around the water hole itself, where they are, where they hatch from. And they'll run up and down in the water, eventually getting a little bit of lift, and then take off, and then sort of turn around and come back into the water and run into land. And so they practice and practice and practice. Eventually, they can fly off and follow the adults when they move once again. They need to be able to keep up. So it's normally quite a quick fledgling process. Every species of bird is different in how long they take to learn. Some, it's just, like swallows, it might be one day they get to practice, and then they need to follow the adults on their migratory routes. With flamingos, they do get a little bit more practice, but it's probably that initial period in the nest where it's the most dangerous for them, because they're reasonably vulnerable. They're in the water, so in some ways they're away from predators, but they're not elevated, so anything that can swim or can walk in these shallows can have access to the nests. So the likes of water mongoose, water monitor lizards, and the likes can access these nests. Obviously the adults will try and protect them, but they do fall prey to those kind of animals. And I saw in Etosha, there was that very sad story of what happened there wasn't quite enough rain, but there was just enough rain for the adults to believe that there was enough, or going to be enough water for them to build their nests, which they did, but the water then dried out, and so they didn't have this sort of shallows that we're looking at right now. It was just literally mud. So the babies weren't able to do this running on the water and practicing to fly, etc. And so they didn't learn to fly. And when it came time for the adults to leave, they did. They left. And all of these babies got stuck in the mud attempting to fly away. And obviously, it was a high die-off of all of these babies that weren't able to fly. So, yes, very stressful across the board with birds learning how to fly. As I say, unless you're a brood parasite, leave that job to somebody else. Right, it's a lovely time spent with the pinkness here at Comfortsdam, but I think let's go back to Jamala.